What's happening, YouTube? Anthony on Power Rangers Lost Galaxy fan film with a brand new PRLostGalaxy 2014 review. And today we are taking a look at McFarlane Toys DC Direct Batman, the animated series, classic Batman, part of the Build-A Jonah Hex wave of figures you can only get at Target. I got these figures way back in July of 2025 this year at Target. I managed to get all of the figures for Build-A Jonah Hex wave for Batman, the animated series, consisting of Batman, Ra's al Ghul, the Gray Ghost. The only character I did not get from this wave is Killer Croc, I believe. Yeah, because Killer Croc was in this wave. So here I am with a brand new Batman, the animated series review. Not only that, at the time of this recording, I filmed this review on the 3-year anniversary of the week of Batman's voice actor Kevin Conroy. So this is yet another Batman, the animated series review video to accommodate the anniversary since we lost the great Conroy after voicing the Vengeance, the Knight, you know, that being Batman himself, the Cape Crusader of my generation, animation, voice acting wise, and also in video games. And now looking at this animated series Batman and plenty of other ones, you know, these figures are like a step up to several of the Batman, the animated series figures I remember having somewhat as a kid, but it does retain that classic 90s look, which I love because I grew up on Batman, the animated series. I was born around the day it premiered on Saturday, September the 5th of 1992. So yeah, but just like getting this figure and getting other figures of characters related to Batman, the animated series, is a feat, because this is not the first Batman, the animated series thing I did review on the channel, but I did review the DC Multiverse animated series Batman figure a while ago back in September, and check that figure out. But right now is the DC Direct BTAS figure of Batman. Of course, there's a few other ones which I'll check out later if I ever have the chance. So for the Jonah Hex wave, so when you get Batman, he comes with the Build-A Jonah Hex arm pieces, while Ra's al Ghul will have like the legs of Jonah Hex, and Gray Ghost would have like, well, the torso. But when I get around those figures, because when you think about it, now that you have both Batman and the Gray Ghost, because considering we lost 2 legendary Batmans, you know, you got, again, Kevin Conroy, Adam West is the Gray Ghost. You know, you had the late Adam West from the 60s Batman TV show voice the Gray Ghost in the animated series. Because again, the Beware the Gray Ghost, by the way, is one of my all-time favorite episodes of BTAS, because it meant a lot to Batman, because the Gray Ghost in that part of Batman mythology is what inspired Bruce Wayne to be Batman when he grew up and stuff one day. But wait until when I get around the Gray Ghost's review next. But right now we need to focus on the Dark Knight himself in animated series form via the DC animated universe. Front of the package featuring Batman, all his gear and everything, Jonah Hex, Build-A-Figure pieces, and a trading card in the front, inside the packaging. Then on the side render, you got classic Batman running around, you know, in that animation still. So when you get Batman, you do in fact get Jonah Hex's arms. When you get, let's see, Killer Croc. Now I should have gotten Killer Croc in this wave too, but I'll have to figure out how to get him. So you get Killer Croc. He comes with Jonah's guns, knife, and headpiece. You get Ra's al Ghul. He comes with Jonah Hex's legs. And lastly, the Gray Ghost, which I just showed off. Gray Ghost with the torso of Jonah Hex. So, with that being said, let's unbox classic Batman and take a look at him. Okay, now that we got Batman out of the package, let's go over all of his accessories. First is the Build-A Jonah Hex arms. So we got Jonah Hex's arms when you get Batman. When you get the other characters, get his, you know, his head plus his guns. When you get Killer Croc, Gray Ghost with the torso and abdomen area, and Ra's al Ghul with the legs. So here's Jonah Hex's arms. When I get Killer Croc, whenever I do have a chance to get him, then I'll be able to, because I already got the other 3 characters earlier, so the only character I didn't get at the time at Target was Killer Croc. So I have to get Killer Croc in order to complete this wave and complete this Build-A-Figure, and I got me an animated series, you know, BTAS character now in my collection via Build-A-Figure. Though I've already did my Build-A Bruce Wayne, you know, Poison Ivy wave figure already. So that Poison Ivy figure review is already up and ready for people to view. Then we go into the the file card, trading card for Batman. Everybody knows Batman's origin story. As a child, Bruce Wayne watched as his parents were brutally killed in Gotham City's crime alley. Traumatized by the deaths, he devoted his life to become the world's greatest weapon against crime, Batman, to become the ultimate vigilante, the Dark Knight, disciplined his mind and body to reach the pinnacle of mental and physical superiority in the relentless pursuit of justice. Okay, that's a great way to ring it to it, but okay. So here's a data file on classic Batman, because again, everybody knows Batman's origin, all the different variations of him we had over the course of comics, movies, comics, movies, cartoons, animated movies, video games, the works. Okay, so then you also have interchangeable hands. So you got interchangeable hands that you can switch out from. One of the hands when you have Batman with his grapple gun, which like for the animated, the McFarlane DC Multiverse figure that I reviewed a while ago. But one of those hands will go through one of those hands so I can put that grapple on it. But I feel like this hand already has the, well, you can tell that this hand has the grapple gun already molded onto this. So you can just switch that immediately if Batman wants to swing off and get ready to go. Swing our way around in Gotham City and go to his next destination where crime is afoot in Gotham. So just like in the animated series, as you know, like in the cartoon. So that's awesome. Plus, I don't really like the way how they made these accessories, the grapple, both the freestanding grapple and the grapple that's molded with the hand, and the Batarang being yellow, when really some of Batman's accessories here should be gray or black, depending on how you looked at it from the cartoon and how they did it in the animated series. But like, I kind of feel like they really, that's like my only nitpick with these accessories, that why they made his accessories yellow when they should be either gray or black. But hey, we got those accessories if you want to switch them out. And yeah, like I said about the Batarang, this Batarang looks too similar to the one that I already looked at on my TMBA Batgirl review from earlier in March. Yeah, but then they did a Batarang yellow for Batman for this figure. But yeah, but it's great we got those accessories to look over and take a look at. And then next and last, let's take a look at TMB, BTAS Batman. It does look very much like how he always looked in the animated series. The only difference though, compared to the animation model, when you look at Batman's head, yeah, you kind of do got the chin somewhat right, but I think that they should have made the ears on the cowl look a little longer to make it look like the cartoon equivalent of this Batman. And well, it's all right, but it feels very close to home to how we 90s kids remember having an action figure of this Batman like this. What I love about this Batman, speaking of, because this is where nostalgia starts kicking in, the cape. The cape is incredibly exquisite. The way how they made the cape really long and really big, just like how Batman would, even if he's like gliding around Gotham City and stuff. And that is pretty awesome how they have Batman with a very lightweight cape, because I remember growing, because this is taken back to childhood when I had a Batman kind of like this and some other ones, even like the Batman figures I had, after Batman and Robin came out in '97, where you had a Batman whose cape is like very long. And I would love to play around with Batman's cape and how long and elastic and stretchy the cape can be. But that's what made these figures stand out, because it did take me back to my childhood a little bit. Because when I saw these figures and when McFarlane did these, I was like, this is taking me back to my childhood already. Taking me back to all the times I used to have several of Kenner's Batman figures for the animated series, and even, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, and then even some other miscellaneous Batman figures that was kind of like it at the time. So I thought, man, looking at this animated series, Batman is pretty darn well, because, when I got that DC Multiverse Batman for this by McFarlane, of course, they over-exaggerated the proportions of his figure, like I've already stated. But this is actually just about right, then, based on how Batman always looked in the cartoon. Although I know my little nitpicks is, I wish the ears on the cowl was a little longer, even like based on his animated, like again on his animated appearance. But again, I'm not going to judge. And at least his jawline is somewhat on point to how he looked in the cartoon too, in some places. And also, here's something also I had to notice even before looking at the figure. I swear this is better not be like, no, the bat symbol is etched onto and sculpted onto the figure. It's not a sticker or anything. That was like with the original Kenner toys from the 90s. But though, what I like about this Batman, especially every time I look at Batman in the in BTAS, the bat symbol, depending on the animation and based on animation quality per episode, whenever Batman is on screen, the bat symbol will look in different shapes and sizes, no matter how you look at it. But the way how they went with this symbol, the bat symbol is very reminiscent of the bat symbol for Michael Keaton's bat suit in Batman Returns, and they basically copied the same bat symbol from that suit. But wait until I get the DC Multiverse figure of Batman Returns, and I hope I get the entire Batman Returns wave, because I never had any action figures of Batman Returns because I wasn't fully alive for those toys back then, or the movie in its initial run. Amid parent complaints and stuff in '92, because again, I was born 3 months after Batman Returns, but I was born around the day the animated series premiered. That's something. But of course, I can't be choosing when to be born, but just, I like the way how they had the symbol very much like Keaton's, Batman Returns bat symbol, but they incorporated on this animated series figure, which is technically Kevin Conroy. Whenever you see this Batman, we do think of Kevin Conroy voicing this particular iconic animated depiction of Batman. And even whenever I even look at these toys of this animated series Batman, I can still hear Kevin Conroy talking to us, even through the toys and stuff, and anything with his Batman on it. Even like with the Arkham Batman from the Arkham games and Justice League. Okay, so let's take a look at articulation, because, I just can't help but gushing at the proportions, because it's very nostalgic, If you're a 90s kid like me, a 90s baby, early 2000s kid, you're going to have some serious nostalgia looking at these kind of Batman figures. And kudos for McFarlane Toys for recreating something that I wish I had more of back in my childhood. I mean, I like the Batman, toys for the animated series that we had back, from Kenner back in the day. But man, these McFarlane toys are just as good. But oh my goodness. All right, so let's take a look at articulation. So his unfortunately, you won't do like any, since this is a genuine 5-inch figure, you're not really going to do a lot of like that usual spreading out the arms for butterfly joints or anything, because this is not that type of Batman, and this is not those type of figure. But you can raise his arms up in the air like he's like raising his arms up like, I will get you Joker one day, or whoever the villain of Gotham of the week. Yeah, you can raise his arms up, and just like the multiverse figure, this is what his elbow crunch proportions is like. So you got the elbow crunch on that arm and on this arm. Unfortunately, you don't do any abdomen crunch, because the figure, this is not that type of figure for that, because knowing DC Direct as opposed to the multiverse, his head does turn some all directions. I guess you can turn his head all the way up, and up this way, and turn it all around. Actually, you shouldn't, because that's not that type of thing for Batman. You can turn his waist around with, since we don't have no abdomen crunch or anything, you can turn his waist around, so you can turn his body this way or this way, and that's something with that one. And then of course you can lift his legs up and spread them legs out too, so you got that proportion. And I do like the way how his lower legs can also turn and articulate too. And then you got the ankle pivot on both legs too, so that's also great. And then on this leg too, and then let's take a look at knee crunches. So the knee crunches are pretty good on this figure, so that's really a given. And then the the ankle pivot, on this foot too. So I really do like this animated series Batman, although I don't even think that of the two McFarlane produced Batman figures, I don't even know if I like this or the multiverse figure better. But I know there were other figures of BTAS Batman that McFarlane Toys did in the DC Direct line that I know I did missed out on, but I hope one day I get those figures and take a look at those figures of Batman from the animated series. Whenever I do get my hands on any of the following I'm missing, like even Cyborg Batman from the Build-A Bruce Wayne wave, whenever I get around taking a look at that variation of Batman. Now I know there was another BTAS Batman McFarlane did for the Direct line where Batman did have blue underneath the cape, but this Batman only has his cape all black front and back. And of course, if this was, let's say, a DC, if there was DC Direct figures of like the Batman live action movies of the time, like the Burton Schumacher movies, this is that type of Batman figure we would have for like Batman 89, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. If McFarlane was to do DC Direct figures, if, you know, if we got the multiverse figures with the more highly detailed Batman for that, we would, like, I would definitely would love to see a DC Direct style for those cinematic Batmans, for those kind of figures, because if you're going to go for that more retro feel, this is exactly one of those Batman figures that will go for that feel. And I love it because, you know, it's taken, and again, it's very nostalgic, and I know I've been saying that a lot and it sounds like I'm repeating myself, but I just can't help but just how iconic and nostalgic I am about seeing action figures of my all-time childhood animated Batman is all. That's all. But, well, in my final thoughts, is this worth the pickup and worth picking up at local Target stores and probably so otherwhere else? Yes, but you better get the figure while you can, and some other figures in this wave, because, you know, 2026, you know, time is running out for McFarlane, so you better put out whatever you can. He better put out whatever you can, because Mattel will be knocking on McFarlane's door and tell you, McFarlane, your time is up. We're taking over the DC license. So whatever's given, I just hope we get more animated series Batman and other DCAU collectibles in the future, even though McFarlane did a good job on these, but especially on this Batman in particular. But I just really hope we get something like this in the near future. Until then, folks, Batman is about to go up to Gotham City and on to my, you know, to other parts of Gotham City where, you know, crime awaits for him to, you know, to intervene and stop. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe. Drop a like, share this video with your friends, and Batman is out.